This thing has tens of thousands of games. Even Homer Simpson was impressed by this thing. But in this video, we're going to be checking out a 12 terabyte. Yes, 12 whole terabytes, one hard drive. You can buy this thing on Amazon. And I had to check this thing out to see what it's all about because it actually shocked me. I was expecting utmost horridness. But what you'll see in this video is for under $300, they're giving you a 12 terabyte, a pretty decent hard drive that when I was running this thing, it never really lagged. Like it was running, I'm running on the hard drive the whole time. I didn't see any lag as far as menus and loading games and things like that. And this is a running, you can see the hard drive here. It was a 12 terabyte drive, plug and play, and it has everything. And I mean everything from Atari and that whole era, the computer-based system era, all the way up to Nintendo Switch. Now, it wasn't fully up to date. For example, they don't have the new Zelda game. There were some other little weird things about it where, like, you would play, like, for example, Donkey Kong, and they were playing the Nintendo Wii U version of Donkey Kong, even though it was in the Nintendo Switch area. There's many collections that aren't quite up to date and things like that. But there's still tens of thousands of games for you to play on this thing, and the majority of them worked. I had some small issues with the controls, but they worked. Now, Hyperspin is just crazy in your face with sound effects and visuals, and so it's a lot of people like that. I'll let you know how I feel about it towards the end of the video, but it's quite an experience. And right out of the box, it's this huge front-end retro gaming system that has everything. It has Taito X, it has Techno Parrot, it has all the consoles, it has all the arcade systems, it's all there. So let's go ahead and check it out. We'll start with the menu systems here. First, there's an intro video, then we'll do the menu systems, then we'll talk about the first install, and then we'll talk about emulation and final thoughts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check this thing out. All right, so you boot this thing up, and I don't even remember where it starts you off. It just starts you off somewhere random in the collection. And so here we are, we're at Neo Geo CD. And it pretty much has all the Neo Geo CD games you can think of. It also has all the Neo Geo games. So it's going to have Metal Slug, everything else. So as I go through these different collections in here, it has Neo Geo Mini, if you like have one of the mini collection. That's something I actually don't like about this build, is that there's just too many collections. And so I'm going to skip over a lot of them, as you see here. So Neo Geo Pocket Color, it's going to have all those. PlayStation. Again, I'm not going to run through all the PlayStation games. At 12 terabytes, it's going to have every single PlayStation game you can imagine. So it's going to probably have over 900. It's going to have like pretty much the majority of the PlayStation collections. But as you see there, when you stop on a game, it gives you like a whole video of the game. And so I think we're in Japanese releases right now for the PlayStation. And it's just crazy, the amount of detail and what's in here. So this is like shoot 'em ups. Okay, so we skip over that one because it's just like shoot 'em up games for PlayStation. But now we're in PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2, hundreds if not hundreds of games. I don't know how far I go through these, but there's just so many. It's going to have all the games you're probably looking for. Unless you have a very obscure game, it's probably going to be on there. If you scroll down, they have PlayStation 2 European games, right? So some of the European releases are going to be in here. And I think they even have a Japanese PS2 in here as well. And like I said, lots of sound effects, lots of things going on. I guess they don't have a Japanese one. Okay, so then it goes to PlayStation 3. PS3, there's actually not that many games. I think I rotate through all of them. The reason being is there's not a lot of space. I guess 12 terabytes, you can't do too many PS3 games. They're kind of big. Now, when it comes to PlayStation 4 games, it's my understanding that those are just the PC equivalents of them. So, like, for example, Cuphead, excuse me, Cuphead is like the PC version of Cuphead. It's not the PS4 version. Or Contra or Crash Bandicoot, etc. But they say they have it, right? So that is on there. And I didn't play any of these games. I wasn't necessarily that interested in them. I didn't play them. I played PS3, I played PS2, I played PS1. They all worked just fine. The Neo Geo and arcade games all worked just fine. So those were thumbs up on my end. I'll let you know which systems I had some issues with as we move forward. But as I mentioned, as you see here, it's just so robust that they have all these video files that we're watching right now, or you can see the video of it. All the artwork here on the wheel done for you. And then the ROM is all set up to that. So that's kind of weird. You have like a shortcut to Pinball FX3 in the PS4 category. You have a little bit of these duplicates, these things that are like listed in multiple places, but nothing crazy. Like I can understand why you might want it listed in a couple of different places. Okay, so you saw the whole PS4 collection. PSP Minis I kind of skipped over. They're not that great. Like most people have PSP Minis. Now PSP, again, I don't think I scroll through every single game here just because there's so many games. But it has the majority of your games on here, God of War, both Ape Escapes. It's going to have your racing games, your Need for Speed Underground, all that stuff is going to be on here. All the sports games, Worms, huge PSP collection. So the reason why I like builds like this is because of, for example, like GameCube, PSP, PS2. One, the games, especially the really good games for collectors, are super expensive. And then two, they're huge files, right? So you don't have to download these or anything. This is a good time for me to say that you can absolutely build one of these yourself. Things like CoinOps, Launchbox, RetroBat, all really great front ends that you can download for free and then build it yourself with the games you want. And then you wouldn't be overwhelmed with just choice overload here. So this is the Mario collection, just lots of Marios here. This is where I started seeing some issues though, like not all the Mario Karts are listed here. It definitely has like the newer Mario Kart. Not all the Mario parties were listed, and Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey was not listed here, right? So I guess that needed to be updated or whatever. A small little mistake, right? Not a huge deal, but I couldn't find the Marios here. But back what I was saying earlier, you know, you can absolutely find this, build this yourself, and have it all going great. But as far as those of you interested in like Mario and Pokemon, which are some of the most popular games, it's going to have all of them for you. Everything from Pokemon Blue to Pokemon Moon and more. So now we're in Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo, you can rest assured it's going to have every single game you've ever imagined. It even has the Super Nintendo SMU for the higher soundtrack. That's all good. For the Taito, there's lots of things there. Do we get to the X? Yeah, there we go. Type X. This is a really cool console. There's some good light gun games for this. Street Fighter 4 is for this. There's a X1 and an X2, and it's all on there. Raiden 4, for example, really fun game here. All this stuff is working really good. You definitely want to make sure your firewall is off for this. This stuff just generally tends to set off your firewall. It's not just this build. It's all the builds. You know, that's just how those go. And if you don't want to, that's fine. You don't have to. You can skip these games, not play them. But now we're in the X2 variant and similar games there. So now Techno Parrot. Really cool to see this. It has a really good Batman game. A ton of really good light gun games, including this Alien game. But you know, there's all kinds of games from like where you're a SWAT team and you're going through stuff to more like zombie-based games. Really, really, Transformers is on here, and then you got the drifting game here, Initial D. All the different versions of Initial D, they all work really great. And to have them pre-set up for you is kind of a big deal. Like a lot of people struggle with getting it. You even have Luigi's Mansion Arcade on here as well. Mario Kart DX, this is the one that you see when you go to like Dave & Buster's or something like that. They're often showing off that particular game. And look at that, Pokemon Tournament, the arcade game, also available to check out. So I just played one of these games and it ran just fine. Just make sure you allow it to run, and it runs just fine. The controls were okay. I used the Xbox 360 controller for this particular build when I was going through it. According to the documents, it says Xbox 360 controller. But when we get to the emulation performance, there's a couple emulators that were not set up at all. Like, for example, the Nintendo Wii. So this is, what's the name of this? Yeah, American Laserdisc system. There's some cool light gun games for that particular system. So Atari, I'm just skipping over it, but, I clicked into 5200 just so you could see. It's just wild. All the Atari, 2600, 5200, 7800, ST, Lynx, all the Atari's consoles are here. Jaguar, you have Jaguar 1, and then the CD as well. NBA Jam. So if you like that, that's great. Another system that's pretty expensive to collect, but if you really like the version of the games for those particular consoles, this is a great way to run them. All right, a couple more Atari systems to get through. WonderSwan Color, portable systems if you're into them. So here I go back to bootleg games. I was like, what the heck is a bootleg game? Aren't these all bootlegged? But this is kind of like your, what do they call those? I forget, like the what is it for the N64? They call it the Ever whatever. Anyways, it's like it's like a one disc that has all the games on it, right? And all on one disc. And so they have those for you to check out as well. So here I am. I think I'm checking out. There's like Final Burn Alpha. There's MAME. And there's CPS 1, 2, and 3, Capcom Play System. Most of the arcade games, though, are actually in the MAME file, but just a ton of stuff. Coleco, Commodore 64, Amiga, just VIC-20. Skipping over all those consoles just because they're all there. If you want to play them, you can. But yeah, those older computer systems, they have it. Now Daphne, Space Ace. Yeah, they've got it. They've got it all here. All right, going through a lot more collections here. So these collections, you click on it, and then, for example, Donkey Kong, it'll show all the Donkey Kongs from SNES, NES, Game Boy, you name it. So yeah, this Final Burn Alpha, I don't understand that. That's kind of a weird one. Flash games, interesting. If you want to play this old school Flash games growing up, these browser-based games. There's even a Pokemon game, I guess. I don't know if I've ever played it before. Or maybe it's in the Java. Or no, it's the Super Smash. I'd never played this one before. So some interesting games that maybe you played when you were younger, maybe you didn't. There's also like a JavaScript games in here later, which is kind of interesting. So Future Pinball, all the different boards you have for Future Pinball. There's also Pinball FX2, Pinball FX3 on this build as well as some other pinball games as well if you're interested in those. So hacks and fan-made games. There's a bunch of hacks throughout this whole build. I don't know if all the hacks are even in that collection. I think they're mixed around, so there's even more. House of the Dead, all the fun light gun games. Overkill's on here as well, great game. So if you have a light gun, you're going to be in heaven. Lots of light gun-based games here. All right, some more collections. Here's those Java games I was telling you about. Didn't play any of these games, but they're there if you're interested in them. Kodi, if you want to stream games or movies, things like that, it has a Kodi shortcut. I don't know if you saw earlier, too, there was a Steam shortcut. So, like, you can have this front end as, like, a dedicated front end to your arcade cabinet or something like that. And you can run Steam off of it. You can run this basically like an operating system. Like when you boot up your computer, it just boots up into this, and all your games are there, and all your different accounts and stuff. But we're going through MAME right now, so this is the bulk of the arcade games. But huge arcade set. I'm not going to go through all of it, just because it's a lot of arcade games. But a huge arcade set. It's going to have the majority of the arcade games that you can think of. All the shoot 'em ups, all the fighting games, Mortal Kombat, everything. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. You name it, Bad Dudes, Narcs, all that stuff is on in there. So light gun games, they actually have like a whole shortcut for that. Vertical main games, right, where the game runs vertically. There's a little collection there if you really like those types of games. So So Mario Kart collection. There's even a Metal Slug collection. So MS-DOS, huge MS-DOS. They all say Monkey Island on it. It was just, I don't like this right here. Why do they all say Monkey Island? But if you look at the white font there, it actually is changing names of games. So huge MS-DOS collection from like Warcraft 2 to like all those old games that you had for your PC. You know, Windows 95, Windows 98 games, things like that. So Xbox, huge collection on the Xbox and Xbox 360. So let's spend some time just going through there really quick. Xbox magazine. So yeah, the Xbox magazine, you can just literally read those old magazines. Huge Xbox 360 collection. I end up playing Tony Hawk Underground for Xbox, and it ran just fine. Great. Worked on first boot, controls, everything. So Mugen, here you go, huge collection. Not huge, but majority games there. PC Engine CD, Super Graphics, TurboGrafx CD, all that stuff. I'm starting to move a little fast through this because there's just so much. And those systems that I just said, typically they have all the games and they work just fine. So I went a little faster. Now 3DS. Here's a system that's a little more expensive. Really expensive actually for some of those games. And it has a majority of them. Nintendo 64, again, has the majority of them. If you have a fairly powerful PC, it can run all this stuff just fine. No problem whatsoever. So Nintendo 64 Europe, DD, and then Nintendo DS. Huge Nintendo DS collection. We're going to start going through the Nintendo portables now. Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and Nintendo DS. It has all of them. You name the game, it has it. The Pokemons, the Marios, the Warios, the tennis, the Animal Crossing. They're all there. So NES here, I was just trying to get down to Zelda. I don't know if I skipped it or not. I found Link, so I just went to Link. It might be under L for Legend of Zelda, that's why. So it might not be under Z. So I don't know if you're listening, but just crazy sound effects and stuff, like super fun. I think it's a little overwhelming at times, like a little too flashy, a little too in your face, a little too loud, you know, but you can turn that stuff off if you want. Some people love it, right? It's like an arcade, stimulating, all the LED lights, everything else. But here's Nintendo GameCube. I pretty much go through all the games here. I go pretty fast, but I do go through the whole alphabet here. I know a lot of people like to know what's on the GameCube. Because again, another expensive system to collect. Anyways, Hyperspin in general, this front end we're looking at. You know, I'm not a super fan from like a back end kind of thing. Like, there's a lot going on with Rocket Launcher and all the different emulators and stuff. Like, it's easy to break something, and it's harder to add new ROMs compared to some other programs out there. So, you know, I would say if you buy this, I wouldn't really mess with it much. Like, it's pretty set up as is. But if you do start messing with it, it's quite a learning curve, in my opinion. Depending on what you're trying to do. Certain things are easier than others. But, yeah, I think I would, if it was me, I would probably turn off some of the sound effects. And, you know, I don't like how hard it is to find a game. You know, it seems like you're going through a labyrinth. If you need to find a game, you got to go, like, over, especially with how many collections is on this one. But, I mean, it sounds like you know, it's like, wow, you have such big problems, Drew Talks. You don't know what game, you have too many games to go through. Huh? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to complain or anything, but I'm just saying, I like a more neater, you know, setup. Like, I would just want the systems. I wouldn't want any of these extra collections. And you can absolutely delete those. You can't go into the Hyperspin options, delete collections, and remove them. But I want to show you how it's sat as is. All right, now we're in Nintendo Switch. The biggest thing about Nintendo Switch to know is that my controls did not work with the Xbox 360 controller. So I had to boot up the emulator separately by going to the directory and going to emulators and then finding the user emulator and then clicking on controls and then rebinding my controls. It wasn't even set up to be an Xbox controller, so I had to set that all up. The other thing is it does not have the new Zelda game, even though you can, the Tears of Kingdom, even though you can emulate that game now. We just saw Wii. I'm not a super big fan of emulating Wii because of the way the controls were, but they do work and some games are fun. But like some games like Super Mario Bros. Wii U, you have to like shake the controller, stuff like that. Things like that are harder to mimic on an emulation. So then we have Wii U, another great system. It's going to have all your games from Minecraft to the Mario games to the Bayonetta. It's going to have all that stuff. So some more collections here. 3DO. If you want to play Road Rash or Casper, it's got you covered. All right, we got the pinballs, Pinball FX2, FX3, the PopCap games, a Thomas Wave, so more arcade games if you're interested. And you know what's crazy? We haven't even hit the Segas yet. We still got to go through the Segas here, guys. Scum BM, and then we hit the Segas. All right, Sega 32X, Sega CD. It's gonna have all of them. They all run good. I tried them both. They just run just fine. You're all good there. If you like those old Sega systems, Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive, all that stuff, Sega SG-1000, Game Gear, it's all good. It's all there, it's all good. Sega Mark III. Alright, Sega Model 1, 2, and 3. I did play some of these. They did seem to work just fine, so that's good. We still got Dreamcast and Naomi. And boy, do they not disappoint there. Quite a big Naomi and Dreamcast collection. I couldn't find any games that were missing, so you're gonna have the majority of your games there between them, from Crazy Taxi to Typing of the Dead, you know, you name it, it's gonna be on there. Okay, so is it Ringwave or Ridgewave? I always forget the name of this emulator. Awesome emulator, awesome games. Those are all working as well. Sega Saturn, another system really expensive to collect, and but a lot of fun. It has most of your games. All right, some more Sega systems. Sharp 68,000 and ZX Sinclair. And then we're back at Neo Geo.
This one I ordered on Amazon, but it came in a DHL package, and I don't want to show you the shipping label, but it's coming from the People's Republic of China. So you buy it on Amazon, and it did have like a 1 week delay on it. Like, you know, it did say slower shipping, but it actually got here pretty fast. I want to say it got here within, I don't know, like 5 to 7 business days or so. Ugreen makes a lot of like cell phone parts and like adapters and stuff like this. So they're buying, maybe they're just buying the adapter from them. And then there's your hard drive bay. It's actually a nice little enclosure. And then it should come with power and USB here. But that has nothing to do with the contents of the hard drive. So they're buying the Ugreen thing, which is just, you know, the power and then the USB. But USB type, USB 3.1. It is USB 3.0, 5 gigabytes per second. Okay. All right, I want to open it up and see what kind of hard drive's in here. How do you open it? Should I read the instruction manual? Is there a button that turns it on, that ejects it? It seems like it should just slide. There you go, it slides. Okay, so they are using a NAS, you know, storage hard drive, something you put in like bulk storage. So it doesn't say it's refurbished on it, but that sticker's kind of weird right there. That's some sort of extra sticker that they add on there. So up to 261 megabytes per second is what they're saying for speed, and then 10 times 550 terabytes per year workload rate. So, you know, they're meant to be spun up and used. Okay, 7,200 RPM is how fast they go. Okay, not bad. I mean, I don't think this is a bad thing so far. I'm okay with that.
So here it is. You got a 12 terabyte, you got the EXE to launch it, everything else. backup files, buttons to use, but setup. And there's a couple different setup guides here. Korean, I guess you probably use the English one here. Who is I? Who is this person? P.S. Some emulators may require additional specialized settings depending on your computer you're running. Who is me, though? Everyone wants to know who is you? The guy selling stuff on Amazon? It's set up for Xbox 360 controller. Yeah, so you have to set your live to D. You must install that is in the folder. Oh, interesting. And then it's to mount certain files in the background for emulators. Yeah, okay, that makes sense for if it's a CD-based emulation. So you're gonna need that. And then install these programs on your C drive. Yeah, some of them require like your C drive to run, and then reboot. Okay. So we got that. And then if you click here, this is everything here. And then there's a team viewer here. So it looks like somebody built this, and then they'll help you like troubleshoot through TeamViewer or whatever. But who are they? Who knows? So some of the more advanced emulators like PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 and PS4 Wheel, Sega Model 3, Technoparrot, they have some additional setup files here. But the main thing is that you change your drive letter, and then you get it rocking and rolling. So I already have a D drive on my computer, so I have to change this drive to like E to F, and then change this back to D. So this particular computer already had a D drive, so I had to change my D drive to like an F or somewhere else in the alphabet drive, and then I had to get this hard drive, this 12 terabyte hard drive, and rename it, change the drive letter to, not rename, but just change the drive letter to D, and then everything should work from there. But don't forget you have all these install files to do too. It's just this computer, I've installed similar builds already, so a lot of my files are already installed. All right, so starting out in Xbox, Tony Hawk's Underground. You can watch the performance as I speak. I did play Nintendo 3DS. Played Super Mario Brothers 2, Advance 2, or whatever the, you collect all the coins, basically. It just didn't screen record correctly, but basically they have it set up as a full screen. You have a little little screen on the bottom as your secondary screen for the Nintendo 3DS. I also played some MAME games. I also played some Technoparrot, and unfortunately my computer's capture card didn't capture those, but also this video is already 26 minutes long. So all that stuff runs just fine, plug and play. I told you the systems I had an issue with were the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Wii U. So the Dolphin emulator and the Use It emulator. I didn't play every single emulator, but I want to say I played like 75% of them, and those were the only two that were messed up. We're now in Nintendo Switch, and we're playing Super Mario Odyssey, and as you see, it's playing fine. This particular computer I'm on does have a dedicated graphics card, so you can see the emulation performance is pretty good. And then we're going to play the Simpsons Hit and Run for PlayStation 2, and again, it runs really well. So while these games are playing, let me tell you a little bit about this build. Like I said, when I first went and I saw this build on Amazon, I was like, what is this garbage? I have to check it out. And after installing it and checking it out, I honestly don't know what's going on here. It feels like somebody else built this and they just stole it, because it is built fairly well. Like the basic foundation here is pretty good in my opinion. So it's really unfortunate to whoever they're stealing from. And now I'm not associated with these people at all. People in the comments think I'm making these builds or something or whatever. You could think anything you want, but the truth is I'm not. And so I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but what I know is that you can readily buy this on Amazon and that the price is pretty good in my opinion, considering what you're getting. Now there's absolutely mistakes here and there. There's English mistakes. There's, organization mistakes, there's controller mistakes, there's certain game mistakes, but for the most part, you plug it in, you change your drive, you follow the installation directions, and you have more games than you can ever handle in your whole entire lifetime. And so for that, I was pleasantly surprised and kind of slightly impressed by what I was getting into. I thought this whole thing was going to just be a dumpster fire. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely pros and cons to it. And like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to say it again in this part of the video, which is you can build something like this yourself. There's Launchbox, CoinOps, RetroBat, it's just Emulation Station on its own. Many other front ends where you could build something like this. You find the games you want, you just build it, it's nice and clean, and it just works.
Wow, I need a
But there's some people
Cisco
out there
NES.
that want these huge, mega, epic things, and they don't have a fast internet connection, and they're willing to try anything, and they have you know, money burning a hole in their pocket. And so that's why I made this video, to show you what exactly you get with this build. I don't necessarily love the way it's set up with rocket launcher and all this stuff and hyperspin. It's a little, one, too blingy for me, and two, a little too complicated. I know it's not that complicated, but it's just, I'm not really used to this setup. And so personally, I'm just not a huge fan. If you're wondering who's playing the game right now, my son is playing the game. He's only 5 years old. So if you're, I'm not this bad at the game, but he's been playing all these games this whole entire video. And so anyways, I was pleasantly surprised, long story short. With all these things, you know, don't just take my word for it. Watch the video, go through the different sections, see if it's something you want. I've done many other things as well as many builds that you can build on your own. So please do your research, figure out what you want to do, and you know, go from there. So that's what I think. Let me know what you all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.